What's good, YouTube? Welcome back to another video. As you see by the title, it is called Let Go and Give It to God. And as once again, every week, I'm gonna start filming with my brother, your boy Rich.
Sir,
everybody check out his music. Check out this video right here.
Damn, you tweaking on the beat, so I guess I gotta hop on there and go and spit some heat. I could tell that the enemy doesn't like me on this beat, cause all I do is talk about Jesus, he can't prosper against me. Hey, we pop out 40 deep, Christ game. Romans 1:16, unashamed. Ain't no peace, not for any sin, switch lanes. Save soul, serve God, make change. What God talk about, he'll save lives, he'll do it again. What God talk about, he'll form, he'll transform, rearrange. What God talk about, encounters won't leave you the same. What God talk about, the blessings pour down like his rain.
And yeah, so as you see by the title, it's called Let Go, Give It to God. And the reason why I wanted to talk about this, God put it on my mind and heart, that I was going through a time and situation where it was a lot of hectic things going on, and God was just showing me clearly, like, stop trying to handle it on your own. And he was like, let go of everything and give it to him. He was just telling me, like, truly, like, obviously you don't have the strength to defeat the devil yourself, anything like physical, all the stuff by yourself. God's like, he's God and he's God alone, so give it to him. And he was just showing me different things too. Like, when I let go and give it to him, he's like, you lay it all at the altar. You don't hinder nothing. You don't hold nothing. Don't be, how do I say, like, trying to hide from God. God know everything. Tell him everything that you need help with. Tell him everything. Later, like, just be 100% honest with him. And later, once I truly did that, I started seeing him respond. And it was one of those things that God was waiting for that moment. Like, like, he's like, you only like laid down like 99.9%. He's like, I'm still waiting for that 0.1. So when I finally gave him that 0.1, that's when things started to change in my life. So anything you got to say real quick too?
Well, one question I have for you is what made you want to give it all, like, completely? Because everybody has like a different, I guess, story to it.
Yeah.
I know you went through obviously one could say like your accident, but even after your accident, you were still like,
bro,
not saying that you were far off, but you were still kind of like, well, I'm still holding on to certain stuff, So what made it for you? Like, no.
It was honestly the fact that nothing was changing, and like I never saw like
in regards to what?
True change, like just like my life, like like hearing God, and then also too just like we let's say like we want God to help us spiritually, to be right with him, and we want him to help us in financially in our lives. We want him to help us in, I don't know, like healing, like heal me, like I don't want to go through ever another seizure, Lord, all this type of stuff. It was one of those things, like I said last video, like God literally was like, you cut out all this stuff to like better yourself like physically, but he's like, when are you going to do all that stuff like spiritually? And later I had to cut out all these things in my life spiritually, and then I said, like, Lord, I cut it out my life. I truly am seeking you. I want to know you. I want to like have your healing. I want you to help me financially. I want you to help me emotionally, spiritually. Like I said, even with the spirit, like I told you, gluttony, all that stuff. I was like, Lord, help me with it all. And later, once I really put God first and I really seeked after him, and like I told you, later at the altar, that's when I started seeing like true change. And it's one of those things, is like another thing, tomorrow literally not promised. I keep saying, I keep stressing that because it's literally true. Like, RIP, somebody in my family just passed away yesterday.
Really?
It was, and it was one of the, and it was like, not my immediate family, I'm just saying, like, my dad's side of the family. And it was one of those things, just like another moment, just like, see, this is why you need to make sure you're right spiritually. Like, things can change like that. We so busy, true. Like, oh, next week we're gonna do this. All right, next week we're gonna film. I may not be here. You may not be here. So it's just, oh, if you're not right, you're gonna be with the devil.
Bro, you're always nobody's trying to hear that.
It's the truth.
I mean, it is true, but like
sorry,
sometimes, man, like sometimes, let's keep positive. You know what I'm saying?
The truth hurt. God speaks about hell more than heaven.
You're right about that, which is where I'm gonna jump into the next segment, which totally has to do with everything that we're talking about. So today I had this encounter experience with a client. The guy comes in, right?
Yeah.
And he's maybe like in his late 50s, 60s. I don't know. He had gray hair. He was kind of old, but he was like he was very talkative.
Yeah.
The guy had maybe like 19,000 in his savings account. He had money. He had money. He has 7 racks, 19,000 different account. For those who don't know, I work in a bank, so I'd be seeing like people's total. Doesn't matter. Basically, the client came in and all that started talking, right? And so, I believe that God puts people in positions sometimes to spread the gospel, whether it be through character, your own personal life, preaching, and whatever way, you know, when God comes back, everybody's gonna know that there's a God and there's Jesus Christ and that he lived, he died, and he resurrected. Everybody's gonna know it. So the guy, like, I don't know how we got into this conversation, right? He starts, like, we ended up talking about voting. So I asked the guy, oh, who you voting for? The guy goes like, well, I'm voting for Kamala Harris. He's like, oh, who are you voting for? I'm like, I don't know, Trump. Bro, I think that was the worst decision. I think it was the worst thing I could have said. This guy started rambling. Like, I think he spent like an hour just talking about, like, you know, how much like Trump sucks, and like all about like the worldview on like what Joe Biden did, like, that are good, and how people overlook it. This guy, like, he went so far as to say, like, oh, don't you think that, like, you know, isn't it bad that like Trump is a rapist and he's a racist and all this stuff, blah blah blah. And then, you know, he's talking about like about oil, talking about a bunch of like politic facts that or fact or fiction, because I don't really know where he got his sources from or anything like that. Also too, whoever's voting, don't assassinate me because I decide to go for Trump or Kamala. I really don't care. I just care more that whoever's in office, I pray to God that they just do right by the economy, because at the end of the day, every human and every man is not perfect. So they're all bad. Like, they're all bad. But this is facts though.
Right.
Everybody's bad, but whatever. Basically, to get to my point, the guy, I tell the guy, I'm like, listen, man, like, you're going off, but I'm really just telling you based on my experience, you know, of what's going on right now. Right now, everything is really high and it's very difficult, you know, for young people like myself. It's very difficult when everything is really high to, like, for example, like gas or houses, you know what I'm saying? But at the end of it all, like, you can base your life on money, which is what he ended up basing himself on. So we were talking about perspectives of life, because he was voting for this person, and I was like saying, you know, my experience on when Trump was president. This is all an example. And he was saying, well, you know, the problem is poor people. The problem is like middle class people who don't have the money to spend that. And then he's saying like, oh, in cases for myself, I have money, you know what I'm saying? And I just care about doing right by people. He said, I care about doing right by people after I said, listen, man, I believe in God. I'm a Christian, and I pray that whoever is president do right by the economy as a whole. I told the guy, like, on one end, some people benefit from the presidency, and on another end, some people don't. So regardless of the fact, somebody's gonna benefit, somebody's not. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I told him, like, I base myself on my afterlife. So this is where I get to my point in what you're saying, giving it all to Jesus. That man is more concerned about doing right by people, which is not a bad thing. You know, do right by people, the word even says it, but he's still sinning. He only cares about his wants. He only cares about his own desires. The man reiterated to me that this world is a selfish world. That is completely facts. But low key, he is too, because he only cares about his money or what he has or what he wants to do. So somebody like that, and people like that always talk about themselves and what they have, what they always tell me is, when I tell them like I'm a Christian, they be like, I'm not really religious. It's not about having a religion with God. It's about having a relationship with him. If you follow what the word says, according according to everything that's written, according to everything that Jesus said, and this is proven facts. If you don't believe me, try Jesus out for yourself. When you give yourself all to Christ, things come in fruition in a positive way. You don't think about yourself. You start loving others the way that others are supposed to be loved. You know, you're not judging others. You yourself become accountable of your own doing. In the Bible, it states that there is an inheritance already for us in heaven. When you're gone from this world, all that money that guy has, that he was talking to me about, he's not gonna see a dime. He literally said, only thing I care about is that when I die, I'll have money in the bank. You're not seeing that though. Where is your soul gonna go to? Like, where's your life? That's why I told him I care more about my afterlife. I could care less about, I mean, I love my Honda, don't get me wrong, it takes me everywhere, but I'm not gonna see this when I'm gone.
Yeah.
People have to ask themselves, like, what's gonna happen to me when I die? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and it's one of those things too, is like when you like let go, like, and you really give it to God. I even say like let go of like your like voting rights. Like, that's one thing I always been saying. Like, you know, I obviously listen to see like who should I vote for, but I literally been saying to my like dad, like mainly I've been like I'm a pray, and I'm gonna see like, God, who do you say vote for? Let's say he says vote for Trump. Let's say God was to say vote for Trump. I may not know all the reasons why, but if he said it, it's a reason for it, and that's what matters. And it's one of those things. It's just like we see in the Bible when God used like Pharaoh, when he hardened his heart and did all that type of stuff. He allowed Pharaoh to be in that position. For what reason? But look who came from it. Look what all that came from it. And it's one of those situations. If it's to build God's kingdom and show an example of God doing works, then amen. Then it's the same thing for Kamala. He says vote for Kamala, and then people see bad things happen, good things happening. It's God said to do it, so it's going according to his will. And then later, that's what matters. It's not about what we pick and choose and what we feel. It's about what God says and what he wants.
This world will be a better place if God was in the center of everybody's life. This is how I know everything is spiritual. Because for me, politics and politicking, it gets everybody in a debate, or everybody's like always bickering about, you know, I understand there's some importance to it, you know what I'm saying? But this is why, like, we have topics like give it all to God, because it's like in the time of Moses and the Israelites, they looked to Moses instead of looking at the person who ordained Moses, like, for the people. So I'm not gonna look like, as much as there's a president, I'm not looking towards him for my salvation of my life. You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like people need to, you know, this is not bashing anybody, but I feel like everybody, you know, I always include myself, we just all need to kind of like see reality like for what it is, you know. That's why I feel like a lot of people are giving themselves all to other things, other religions. I feel like people are trying to find something spiritual because it's a part of us. You know what I mean? And people are trying everything
looking for
besides Jesus.
Like, that's like the Simpsons.
They don't try Jesus.
That's like the Simpsons things. He's like, I thought all paths were path to God or some religion or something like that. But like, it's one of those things. Moral of the story: let go, give it to God. Those financial issues and those different things of struggle, a lot of that stuff is spiritual. And God seeing that, the devil's seeing that, you know, a breakthrough is almost here for you. So he's just trying to throw everything he can at you to deter you from everything. So let go, give it to God. That's like your wife, your parents, your husband, your kids, all that type of stuff. Give it over to God, and God will help you in all those areas. If you let go and give it to God, he'll take care of every need. Stop trying to do it yourself and follow Jesus, and he'll tell you what to do and not to do. So I hope y'all enjoyed this video. I hope y'all learned something, and you know, I enjoy these talks, and I hope y'all enjoy them too. So I'll see y'all in the next one. Peace.